Alright, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good afternoon. My name is Fathan Ahmad Firdaus, mostly called me Fathan, with my identity 1950 9334 042, which is my identity from Yogyakarta State University. And today, I would like to present about turbocharger. So what is the turbocharger actually? First we have to look at the picture first. As you can see, the turbocharger, it looks like a snail shape. Exactly, it's almost similar like that. But what is turbocharger actually? Well, turbocharger, or mostly people say turbo, is device that increases an internal combustion engine's efficiency and power output by forcing extra air into the combustion chamber. It's true, because turbo are composed shaft with the turbine wheel on one end and a compressor wheel on the other. They are covered by a snail-shaped housing featuring an inlet port, which the wasted exhaust gas enter at a high pressure. As the air passes through the turbine spins and the compressor turns with it, drawing in the vast quantities of air which are compressed and pass out of the outlet port. Yeah, and that's part of how it does it work. But it will explain more on the next slide. So, what does the component, what parts that contains it? Well, there are the turbine wheel, then the turbine housing, and then the exhaust gas, and then the exhaust outlet area, and then the compressor wheel, and then the compressor housing, the forged steel shaft, and then compressed air, of course. Let's move on to the next slide. On this slide, I will explain more about how does it works. Actually, I was already explained it before, but I'm gonna explain it in detail. Well, as you can see, that's the illustration of the turbo. So, as the air passes through the turbine spins and the compressor turns with it, drawing in vast quantities of the air which are compressed and passed out of the outlet part. Yeah, that's true. A pipe feeds this compressed air back into the cylinders via an intercooler, which cools the air before it reaches the cylinders. As turbos run at such high speeds, well, it can up until 250,000 RPM. That means it's very high pressure, right? They typically have an oil cooling system to make sure they don't run too hot. Most systems have also contain a valve known as a wastegate, which is used to divert excess gas away from the turbocharger when the engine produces too much boost, preventing damage to the turbine by limiting its rotational speed. Yeah, of course. Well, as you can see that the air comes to the compressor inlet and then enter into the compressor discharge, enter this pipe, enter into the intercooler, and then goes to intake manifold, and then goes to the engine. When it's combusting or they take the output will comes out to the exhaust manifold, and then goes to the turbine inlet, and takes out to the turbine exhaust, which makes it sound like a whistle. Well, how does it sound actually? Let's see on this video. And that was the sound of the turbocharge. Sounds like a whistle. Now let's move on to the next slide. So, the, does the turbo have abilities? Of course. The first one is power. Power why? Well, turbo produce more power in the same size engine, of course. It's because every shock of the piston generates more power than its naturally aspirated engines. Yeah, when you put the engine with a 1 point, for example, 1.2 liter naturally aspirated compared to used to 1.2 liter but turbocharged engine, the power the power output will be different. The power output are different because that turbo gives more power and also gives economy. Why? Because turbochargers can produce the same power output as larger, naturally aspirated engines. This paves the way for the use of smaller, lighter, and more economical engines. Because now, in this era, all modern diesel cars are fitted with the turbochargers too. We can give an example like in Indonesia, a Toyota Fortuner from the old generation, and then there's a special edition called Fortuner VN Turbo, which is just a turbo. That's for the example for the economy. And also turbo gives a torque and performance. Even on the smallest engines, turbochargers produce more torque, particularly lower down to the rev range. Yeah, because when you put on the throttle on the rev range, turbo starts pulling, start give a power, and start pulling to the push the power to the highest pressure as it sets. And then the quiet engines, as the air in turbocharged engine is filtered through more pipes and components, the intake and exhaust noise is reduced and refined, making for a quieter and smoother engine noise. Perhaps one of the most unexpected benefits of a turbocharged engines. Let's move on to the next slide. So turbo also have weakness. What kind of weakness that turbos have? Well, they are of course the repair cost. It's because turbochargers creates a more complexity to the engine, right? It will give us more power, but but turbos also give heat, more heat power, more hot burn because the output of turbo can spin until 250,000 rpm, which is for the output is very will cause cause a hot burn, hot temperature. So if the other parts cannot be supported like intercooler or from the manifold, it will cause damage and will cause an expensive repair for the repair cost. So when you would put the turbo, so you have to remember buy also an aftermarket parts for maybe for the support for installing turbo for not damaging engines and also the turbo. And then the turbo lag. So turbo lag is a brief delay in response after pressing the throttle. It's because that turbo cannot give an instant power. Turbo can power give a power doing step by step. And also efficiency versus driving style. Achieving the claimed efficiency figures of a turbocharged engine requires a careful throttle control. So when you're driving a naturally aspirated engine, when you do on the normal throttle on the daily activities, daily driving, compared to turbocharged engine when you drive with a daily drive, it feels both of them feel are different feels. So why? Because turbo gives more power or an extra power. So when you pull the throttle, or I mean push the throttle, it will give like a an extra power comes from the turbo and then goes to the engine and will give like a more push, I guess. And that's from my opinion because I don't have a driving experience. So we can say that turbo is a device that give an extra power, creating extra power to improve the torque and performance too, to make the best power that what they want. But it will cause, it will give a many, it will cost to other parts. I mean, give a cost damage if you, so you have to buy another part too. And also you have to learn to how to drive with a turbo engine car. And that brings to our slide comes to end. Thank you for your appreciation of watching videos. I hope you guys get entertained. Thank you for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.